Let me tell you something important, and I'm telling you because almost no one else will. The people who love you have gone quiet. Have you noticed? Your kids still visit, but they don't stay long. Your grandchildren arrive excited and leave relieved. Old friends stopped calling. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you've been asking yourself, what changed? What changed is a set of habits, quiet ones that crept in slowly, disguised as normal, even reasonable. Habits that push people away. Not because you're a bad person, but because no one has the courage to tell you the truth. I'm going to tell you the truth today. All 13 of them. The first habit is constant complaining. I know life gets harder. I know the body keeps score. Every morning my knees remind me. Every night my back does. The world moves faster than we can keep up with. And sometimes it feels like everything we knew is slipping out of our hands. But here's what happens. When every conversation starts with what hurts, what's wrong, what's unfair, people begin to feel exhausted before you even finish your first sentence. I had a friend, good man. We talked every Sunday for years. But slowly, every call became a list. The weather, politics, his neighbors, his digestion. One day, I realized I was hesitating before dialing his number. Not because I didn't care about him, but because I knew exactly how I'd feel when I hung up. Drained. That's when I asked myself the hardest question I've ever asked. Have I become that man too? Complaining feels like releasing pressure. But when it becomes your default language, it quietly builds a wall between you and everyone you love. The second habit is turning every conversation into a medical report. At our age, something is always wrong. If nothing is, you're either very lucky or not paying attention. But there's a difference between mentioning something and making it the whole conversation. I once knew a woman, sharp mind, wonderful humor, genuinely fascinating to talk to. But somewhere along the way, every visit became a rundown of medications, symptoms, and appointments. Her grandchildren still came, but they didn't linger. Not because they didn't love her, they did, but because there was no lightness left in the room. We are more than our pain. If we forget that, the people around us will start to forget it too. The third habit is being too opinionated. This one is dangerous because it disguises itself as wisdom. We've lived long. We've seen things. We believe we understand how the world works. And maybe we do. But when every conversation becomes a correction, a lecture, or an unsolicited verdict, people stop opening up to you. I learned this with my own son. He told me something simple. How he was handling a situation with his kids. Before he finished his sentence, I was already correcting him. I thought I was helping. He heard something else entirely. That I didn't trust him. That I didn't respect him. After a while, he stopped sharing. Not because he had nothing to say. Because he didn't want to be judged. There is a difference between offering wisdom and forcing it on someone. If you never learn that difference, you'll spend your years talking a great deal and hearing very little. The fourth habit is giving advice nobody asked for. This one walks hand in hand with the last, but it deserves its own moment. Because sometimes, even when we're not judging, We're still inserting ourselves where we weren't invited. Someone shares a hard day, and before they're finished, we're already offering solutions. We think, I've been through this. I know what to say. But most of the time, people don't come to you for solutions. They come to feel heard. My daughter told me about a difficult week once. I didn't let her finish before I started fixing things. She went quiet. Later, she said something I've never forgotten. Dad, I didn't need fixing. I just needed you to listen. Advice is valuable, but only when it's asked for. Otherwise, it's just criticism wearing a polite mask. The fifth habit is criticizing younger generations. Every generation looks at the next one and shakes its head. I've done it. We all have. The music is too loud. The phones are always out. The values are different. The work ethic is weaker, or so we say. But here's what we forget. Someone said the exact same things about us. When all young people hear from you is disapproval, they don't argue. They don't fight back. They simply drift. I watched it happen with my own grandson. Every time I pointed out what he was doing wrong, the phone, the posture, the slang, he became quieter around me. It wasn't respect I was seeing, it was withdrawal. So I changed my approach. I started noticing what he did well. I told him when I admired his creativity, his confidence, and slowly he came back. Not because I demanded it, but because I made it safe for him to be himself around me. The sixth habit is living too deep in the past. Memories are precious. I could spend hours telling you stories from decades ago, and sometimes that's a beautiful thing. But when every conversation steers backward, when the present moment keeps getting replaced by 1975, the people in your life start to feel unseen. They're living now. They want to share their world with you. But if you're always pulling the conversation into your own past, they begin to feel like guests in a museum, not family sitting with someone they love. I caught myself doing this. My granddaughter was trying to show me something she was excited about, and I interrupted her with a story from my youth. She smiled, but I could see it fade. That moment wasn't about me, and I had taken it without even noticing. Since then, I ask more questions than I answer. It keeps me connected, and honestly, it keeps me learning. The seventh habit is neglecting personal hygiene. I know this is uncomfortable to say. I'll say it anyway. As we age, energy fades. Routines slip. And some of us reach a point where keeping up appearances feels less urgent than it once did. But this isn't about vanity. It's about something more basic. It's about respect. For yourself and for the people who choose to spend time with you. I visited an old acquaintance once. Kind man. But the home smelled stale. The clothes were unwashed. The appearance unkempt. I sat with him. I listened. But I didn't stay long. And I felt guilty about it. That's the thing. People may never say a word, but they feel it. And quietly, they come less often. Small efforts matter more than you think. The eighth habit is gossiping and meddling. When your world becomes smaller, it's easy to start focusing on the lives of others. Who said what? Who's struggling? Whose marriage looks shaky? Whose children aren't visiting enough? It feels harmless at first, even entertaining. But over time, it erodes something essential: trust. People smile when you speak, but they start to wonder what you say about them when they're not in the room. And meddling, actually stepping into situations that don't belong to you, can do real damage. I knew a woman who meant well in every sense of the word, but she kept inserting herself into her son's marriage, offering opinions, taking sides, pushing into spaces that weren't hers. The crack it created never fully healed. Good intentions are not enough. Sometimes the greatest act of wisdom is knowing when to stay quiet and let people live their own lives, even when they're getting it wrong. The 9th habit is refusing to learn new things. I understand the temptation. When the world changes as fast as it has, there's comfort in saying, "That's not for me. I'm too old for this." But when you close yourself off entirely, you also close the door on connection. My grandson tried to teach me video calling once. I resisted. Told him a regular phone call was perfectly fine. I could see the disappointment in his face, though he said nothing. So I tried, slowly, clumsily, making mistakes at every step. And then one day, there he was, smiling at me through that screen as if we were sitting in the same room. That moment brought us closer than 100 phone calls had. Learning doesn't make you younger, but it keeps you present in your own life and in the lives of the people you love. The 10th habit is playing the victim. Loneliness is real. Feeling forgotten, overlooked, left behind. Those feelings can cut deep. And when they do, it's easy to say, nobody visits, nobody calls, nobody cares anymore. But when that becomes your identity, when every interaction carries a quiet undercurrent of blame, people don't know how to reach you, so they stop trying. I went through a period like that. The days were long. The house was quiet. I had convinced myself I had been left behind. Then I made a small choice. I picked up the phone and called an old friend, not to complain, not to accuse, just to ask how he was doing. That one call led to another and another. Connection doesn't always come to you. Sometimes you have to be the one who reaches first. The 11th habit is attaching strings to generosity. Money is delicate, especially in families. You want to help. You want to feel useful. But when help comes with expectations, spoken or not, it stops feeling like love and starts feeling like a transaction. I gave you this, so you owe me that. Even if those words are never said, people feel them. True generosity is quiet. It doesn't keep score. It doesn't expect repayment. And if you can't give without keeping score, it's often kinder not to give at all. Because relationships built on emotional debt rarely hold. The 12th habit is refusing help. This one looks like strength from the outside. Independence, pride, standing on your own 2 feet, values we've carried all our lives. But there comes a time when holding on to that too tightly starts to push people away. When someone offers to help you, to carry something, to drive somewhere, to assist in some small way, and you refuse every single time, you're not just protecting your independence. You're also denying them the chance to care for you. And caring is how people bond. I used to refuse constantly. I didn't want to feel like a burden. What I didn't understand was that I was creating distance instead. One day, I just said yes. A small thing, letting someone help with groceries. And I noticed something unexpected. It didn't make me feel smaller. It made the relationship feel warmer. Sometimes accepting help isn't about losing independence. It's about allowing closeness. And the 13th habit, the last one, is losing your sense of humor. Life in old age carries real weight. There are losses, aches, disappointments that accumulate over the years. It's easy to let that weight take over your entire spirit. But when you lose the ability to laugh, when you can no longer find something light in a heavy day, people feel it. Not as sadness exactly, more as a kind of gravity that makes it harder to breathe in the room. I once knew a woman older than me who had every reason to be bitter. She wasn't. She laughed easily. She joked about her wrinkles, her forgetfulness, the indignities of aging. Being around her didn't feel like visiting someone old. It felt like being near someone still genuinely alive. That's the difference. A sense of humor doesn't erase the hard parts of life, but it softens them. And more importantly, it makes people want to stay. 13 habits. None of them make you a bad person. None of them mean you've failed at anything. They simply mean you're human and still capable of growing at any age. I've recognized several of these in myself. I'm still working on them. Not all at once, just one at a time, when I'm honest enough to see it. That's enough. You don't need to become someone new. You just need to become a little more aware, a little more open, a little more gentle. And that alone changes how people feel when they're in the room with you. If you've stayed with me this long, thank you. It means you're willing to look at yourself honestly. And that's something most people never do. Take care of yourself. Stay curious. And I'll see you again soon.